In conjunction with the Dane County Board of Supervisors Oral History Project, this podcast series addresses the personal experiences of current and former board supervisors and the social and community context of the Dane County Board throughout the past 50 years. Each podcast in this series highlights a central theme that emerged in the interviews conducted for the Oral History Project. This podcast details the top policies and projects that shaped Dane County during the 1970s and 1980s. Our discussion is guided by Karen Peterson Thurlow, Dane County Board Chief of Staff.
I'm Karen Peterson Thurlow. I currently serve as the Chief of Staff for the County Board. I've been in that role since 2012. Prior to that, from 1996 onward, as the policy analyst for the board. So I've worked with 6 county board chair, and I've worked with innumerable county board members over the course of time.
And Elizabeth Doyle, District 1 Supervisor.
I'm Elizabeth Doyle, and I'm the Dane County District 1 County Board Supervisor and represent downtown Madison. I was first elected last year in the 2019 special election and was reelected in this spring's election. I serve on the Health and Human Needs Committee and was elected chair this term, and I also chair the Behavioral and Mental Health Subcommittee, which has been a really nice intersection with my day job, which is for the Wisconsin Department of Health Services as the section chief for their long-term care rate setting team.
Roderick Matthews was elected to the Dane County Board of Supervisors in 1974 and served until 1988. He served 8 of his 14 years on the board as board chair. Matthews details the county board's overhaul of county ordinances during his time as board chair.
Roderick J. Matthews. The ordinances of Dane County were very antiquated, and so working with the Corporation Counsel's office and the Judiciary Committee, I think we revised 30 to 35% to make them more flexible for the more modern county policies.
Richard Wagner was elected to the Dane County Board of Supervisors in 1980 and served until 1994. He served 4 of his 14 years on the board as board chair. Wagner highlights Dane County's transition to county-administered regional services during his time on the board.
My name is R. Richard Wagner. Dane County was a double county, and they consciously did this as the capital county, that it should be bigger. If you look at it compared to Iowa County, we're about twice the size. And we had the major city smack in the middle with Madison, which was the county seat. And so you had the ability to assume regional functionality at the county level if the county was willing to do it. And that created a lot of tensions in politics between Madison supervisors and non-Madison supervisors. Some of the early fights when I first got on the board were over welfare, because welfare payments were basically administered by each municipality in the county. So one of the early fights was over having a county-wide welfare system that would take over that function. That happened, but there are also lots of other regional functionalities. Some were simply sort of institutional, like the zoo and the airport. There were some big fights over solid waste. When I first got on the board, many of the towns operated the dump, where people on Saturday would simply take their things and they would be dumped in a hole in the ground. And so, again, the county had to step in and became the manager for solid waste as well. Another aspect of this regional functionality was the sheriff. When I first got on the board, we had a county highway patrol, a rural police, basically, and we combined those two into one. And so this gave the sheriff much more of a role in actually policing Dane County rather than just the courthouse and the jail. There was a big issue here about how county government would assume a sort of a prominence in those kinds of regional decisions and structures. 911 consolidated dispatch was another example of that. You had all kinds of municipal dispatches for smaller cities around the county. And the sheriff's dispatch also dispatched rural fire and EMS, which were volunteer services. It made clear sense to have a countywide 911 system and to consolidate the Sheriff's Dispatch, the Madison Police, and Madison Fire Dispatch. But that required a lot of shuttle diplomacy back and forth.
But it does seem like there was a lot of just important policies put into place during this time that really are, kind of the less glamorous, issues that people really like to talk about but are so important for just laying the foundational groundwork of, future boards and them being able to do the work that they do today. Karen.
It's the building blocks for a modern county government, and kind of the creation of institutions that cared about equal access. I think that it's easy to forget all these kind of institutions that are part of our lives that we just take for granted.
For more information about the policies and projects referenced in this podcast, please check out the Oral History Project report located on the Dane County website.